Welcome to English with Miss Julia. This lesson is aimed at both beginner and intermediate learners. We read a story with the title Kip the Curious Joey. Joey is also another name for a young kangaroo. I encourage you to pause the video regularly, identify new vocabulary, and also practice your pronunciation. That being said, let's get started. Deep in the sunny Australian outback lived a small kangaroo Joey named Kip. He had soft brown fur and very long feet, perfect for hopping. Kip was incredibly curious and loved to peek out from his mother's pouch. He watched the world with wide, inquisitive eyes, always wondering what was beyond the next bush. Kip loved watching the older kangaroos leap and bound across the plains. Their powerful jumps carried them high into the air, covering great distances. One day Kip whispered to himself, "I want to jump like that." He dreamed of soaring over rocks and across streams, just like his mother, Roo. Every morning Kip would try to practice his jumps. He would take a running start, then spring upwards with all his might. Most of the time he ended up in a tangled heap or just a tiny hop. His landings were often wobbly, making him giggle but also feel a little disheartened. His mother, Roo, always watched him with a gentle smile. "Don't worry, little one," she'd say, nudging him gently. "Every great jump starts with small hops. You just need to keep trying and be brave." Her words made Kip feel a little better, and he'd try again. One afternoon, a confident older Joey named Flick zoomed past. Flick could jump higher and faster than anyone Kip knew. "Look at me," Flick boasted, leaping over a large log with ease. Kip admired Flick's skill, but felt a tiny bit jealous, wishing he could jump like that. Later, Kip tried to jump over the same log Flick had cleared. He took a deep breath, ran, and then stopped short. The log looked so much bigger up close, and he imagined tripping. A shiver ran down his spine, and he decided to walk around it instead. Kip often played with his best friend Whiskers the bilby. Whiskers was small and shy, but very brave in his own way. He was excellent at digging for tasty roots and bugs. They loved sharing stories under the shade of a big eucalyptus tree. One day, Kip confided in Whiskers about his fear of big jumps. "I want to be a strong jumper," Kip sighed, "but I'm scared I'll fall." Whiskers listened patiently, nibbling on a root. He understood what it felt like to be scared, even though his fears were different. Rue noticed Kip's hesitation. She took him to a gentle slope. "Start small," she advised. "Practice jumping down this little dip. Then try jumping up a tiny mound." Kip found that breaking the big jump into tiny parts made it less scary. Day by day, Kip practiced on the slope. He jumped over tiny twigs, then small stones, then slightly larger ones. Each successful jump made his heart feel lighter and his legs feel stronger. He was still a bit clumsy, but he was getting better. Near their watering hole stood a very old and wise gum tree. The tree had seen generations of kangaroos grow up. One afternoon, Kip rested under its shade, thinking about his progress. He felt a quiet strength growing within him. The sun grew hotter and the dry season began. The grass turned golden and crisp, and some of the smaller puddles dried up. The kangaroos had to travel further to find fresh water and juicy leaves. This meant longer jumps were often necessary. One evening, as the sun set in fiery streaks, Kip heard a faint, distressed squeak. It sounded small and lost. He poked his head out from his mother's pouch, listening carefully. The sound came from the direction of the rocky gully. Roo also heard the sound and looked worried. "That sounds like a young joey, far from its mother," she said. The gully was a tricky place, full of sharp rocks and deep cracks. It was too dangerous for a small joey to navigate alone in the dark. Kip's heart felt a pang of concern. He remembered his own fears and how much his mother helped him. "Maybe I can help," he suggested, surprising himself. He had been practicing his jumps, and he felt braver now. Roo considered it. "The gully is too difficult for me with you in my pouch, and too dangerous for me to leave you," she explained. "But perhaps, with your new jumping skills, you could be light enough to get through the narrow parts." She trusted Kip's newfound confidence. Kip, with a flutter of nerves and excitement, headed towards the gully. Whiskers decided to come along too, squeezing into the tight spots. The air grew cooler, and the stars began to twinkle in the vast sky. Kip focused on his breathing. The gully was even trickier than Kip had imagined. Rocks jutted out at odd angles, and there were deep shadows. He had to make careful, precise jumps, sometimes landing on narrow ledges. He remembered Rue's advice: small hops first, then bigger ones. They soon found a small, fluffy wallaby joey huddled beneath a rocky overhang. He was shivering and crying, obviously lost and scared. "Are you okay?" Kip asked softly. The wallaby looked up, his eyes wide with fear. The wallaby joey, whose name was Rusty, explained in a shaky voice that he had wandered away from his family while playing. Now he couldn't find them, and the gully was too scary to cross alone. Whiskers offered Rusty a comforting nuzzle. "Don't worry, Rusty," Kip said, trying to sound brave. "My mum is waiting outside, and I can help you get out." He explained that Rusty could hold onto his tail as they jumped. Rusty looked a little nervous, but he nodded. Kip led the way, carefully choosing each landing spot. The first jump was over a wide crack. He took a deep breath, tightened his leg muscles, and leaped. Rusty held on tight, and they landed safely on the other side. Kip felt a surge of pride. They continued through the gully, Kip making confident jumps and Rusty holding on patiently. Whiskers, being small, scampered ahead, pointing out the safest paths. It was a true team effort, navigating the tricky terrain in the dim light. Finally, they saw the faint glow of the moonlight at the gully's exit. Kip made one last, big jump over a pile of loose rocks. He landed perfectly, feeling strong and steady. Rusty let out a small cheer. Rue was waiting anxiously at the gully's edge. When she saw Kip emerge with Rusty, her eyes filled with relief. Rusty quickly hopped off Kip's tail and burrowed into Rue's side, feeling safe at last. He was so happy to be out of the gully. Rue soon helped Rusty find his worried family, who were searching nearby. There was a joyful reunion, with much nuzzling and happy chirps. Rusty's mother thanked Kip and Roo profusely for their bravery and kindness. Back at their own burrow, Roo gently nudged Kip. "You were so brave, little one," she said. "You used your strong jumps to help someone in need." Kip felt warm all over, not just from his mother's praise, but from the good feeling of helping. From that day on, Kip was no longer afraid of big jumps. He practiced with even more enthusiasm, leaping over logs and small bushes with ease. He still loved his gentle hops, but now he knew he could make big, powerful jumps too. Kip often told Whiskers about his adventure with Rusty. Whiskers, always a good listener, would nod and smile. They knew that being brave wasn't just about big leaps. It was about trying, even when you felt scared, and helping friends. Kip, the curious Joey, had become Kip, the confident jumper. He bounced across the vast outback, a little hero with a big heart. And sometimes, when he stretched his long legs and leaped high, he remembered the frightened wallaby and the day he learned that his courage could truly make a difference. Thank you for reading this story with us. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button and do consider subscribing to our channel. This way we may reach learners from all over the world and assist them with their English language. We look forward to seeing you in our next lesson.